What's up, everybody? I just got my Catback on. It's the Billy Boat Fusion. It's the model where you can switch between like a loud and a quiet version. I just wanted to quick go through on how I hooked it up because it's vacuum operated and you have to run a vacuum line in the back of the intake here. So this was definitely the hardest part of getting this exhaust hooked up. Hooking up the Catback was easy, you just literally bolt it in place of the other one. But the vacuum hose that you have to hook up is in right behind the intake. There is a connector, you can see that yellow connector right there. I'm trying not to put my light directly on it so you guys can see it. There's a little vacuum port behind there that you have to wedge your hand back in there and pull it off, put on the T that comes with the kit, and reinstall that little 90-degree that was already on the intake, and then run a vacuum line down and all the way to the back of your car where your Catback is at. To get to that area of the intake, I had to obviously take off the cover. I had to take off the coil pack, so I think there's just 5s, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then there's another one back here, right there. Unhook this connector for your coil packs, and this whole bracket will come off. Obviously you have to take off your plug wires, take those off, pull that whole unit out. And then I had to disconnect the wiring on my injectors, so I took off all of these connections and then these clips just so I could maneuver this wire around so I can get my hand, because with it all connected it doesn't really move. And then I had to disconnect the air system that's on my stock manifolds. If you guys have headers or anything, maybe you don't have to worry about that, but I had to take those 2 bolts off there just so I could move it out of the way and I can get my hand back in there. And I did end up using, where is it? This here. It is a Depth-Tech. It's an endoscope, so it has a camera on the end of it. You just hook up an app on your phone and then you can kind of see what's going on. That was really actually very helpful. I had it wedged in there and then I could see where my hand was at on my phone, because it's a pretty tight space to get back there to get that on. But the Depth-Tech, I picked that up on Amazon like a year ago for like 30 bucks. Definitely came into use big time for hooking all this up, so that was great. So once you get that part done, which is a complete pain, you come in here and here's all the wiring that you have to do. So this passenger side, you take off the floor mat, and then there's a little panel right here you take off, and then it exposes all this, and then the fuse box cover, just unscrew that, and then you'll get access to this. And I bought this system used, so I had a little bit of an issue. They only had one, because there's supposed to be two fuses in here. I didn't know that I needed 2 because there was only one in there and I couldn't get it to work. But long story short, I needed 2 fuses. That plugs into this spot right there. There was nothing in mine, and I think they're all empty. So you just literally plug that in. Good to go. Here's your little solenoid switch. And they had a ground stud. I don't know if that was supposed to be on the car or what, but it says that it's supposed to be right here in this area. And I didn't have that, so they give you ground extension wire. I didn't have one, so I had to make one, but if you bought it new, it should be in the kit. But I just got a bolt and a nut, and I hook my ground extension up, and then you hook the other ground up there. You can see the blue, that's my wire there. This is really bright, sorry. But right there, and all you have to do is pull this panel off here. Literally just pulls up, and you can just pull this whole area out. And then I just ran my wire literally just straight up, hooked it onto that bolt, and then it's grounded. And then I actually ran, there's a gray wire that goes all the way to the back of the car where you're gonna hook up your switch and the vacuum canister. So I just ran that other wire all the way through here, up along all this side plastic on the car, just right back in here, all the way to the back. And I'll show you guys here. So I ran it along all of this, and then I don't know if the previous owner had like a sub wire or something, but there was a slit right there in the carpet, and I just ran my wire through there, and then I ran it down right to there, right here, and plug it in. And then the vacuum hoses, so you have your big vacuum hose that runs in the tunnel there where your torque tube and everything's at. And it's gonna be really tough to see, but there's the big vacuum hose, and you can see the smaller one too. I actually just drilled right into the compartment right here. I didn't drill through my carpet, but drilled through that, and then I ran the wires under the carpet, or the hoses under the carpet, and just popped them out right there. And then the ones on the diaphragm, where are they? Right there. I just routed those right through. You can see where I drilled into them. And I had those coming through that same area. And how to hook up the vacuum hoses, because the picture was kind of hard to see how everything was hooked up. But obviously you have your big vacuum line that runs all the way to the front of the car. That goes into your canister. It's the only big port, so it should be the only one that'll fit that. That goes into that. And then the small port on the canister goes into this switch on this end. And then the little diaphragms on both of the mufflers goes into this side here, and then obviously your electrical switch plugs in, and everything should work. So that is how I set up my Fusion, the Billy Boat Fusion. My overall impressions of the Fusion, I'm glad I only paid $400 for it, first off. There's not really that big of a difference. I mean, when I was letting it idle, after it was warmed up, it's more pronounced, I guess. Alright, sorry guys, my GoPro died, so now I'm on my phone. But, yeah, it's more pronounced, the difference between the two modes after you let it idle and warm up. It's really still not that big of a difference, and at idle it's not as loud as I thought it was gonna be. Thought it'd be a little louder, but I mean, it does sound a lot better than stock. You know, you get that little burbling sound when you're shifting when it's in the loud setting, and then when you have it in the quiet setting, it doesn't do that. It sounds pretty close. It's a little bit louder than stock, but it's pretty similar to stock. The tips, I mean, I might have just not done this right, but I don't know. They aren't quite perfect. This side's in a little bit, as you can see. I like the way this one fits. I mean, it looks like it's a little crooked yet, but I mean, from the back, they look fine. They're level, or they look pretty level. But yeah, overall, I mean, I'm happy with it. I mean, I'm just running stock manifolds, and then there is an X pipe that I actually didn't even know I had until I jacked it up. The previous owner must have put that on. It's a Bassani X pipe, but maybe some headers will make it louder. I mean, I'm gonna do a cam hopefully in the near future, I would hope, but that should definitely wake it up a little bit. But yeah, that is the hookup and how I installed the Catback Billy Boat Fusion exhaust on the C5. If you guys have any questions or anything, just let me know. I'll see if I can run you through it. But I mean, it's pretty straightforward, but like I said, the hardest part, and it's gonna take a little bit of time unless you got really small hands, or you're just lucked out, or you're really good at it. But getting to that port in the back of the intake, it took me a good couple hours. But yeah, that's it, guys. Thanks for watching.